these two, and they accepted to come meet with us and talk to us about NAR sustainability and the green designation. And I want to introduce to you Craig Foley and Melissa Camp. And just to give you an idea, these guys are like the rock stars of NAR sustainability. Craig has been doing this around 2009, 2010. And he is also a member of the executive committee for NAR. He is on the Sustainability Advisory Council as well, and the Public Policy Council. And he and Melissa are the ones that are updating the NAR Green designation course as well. Melissa is I've got to meet both of these guys in Austin. And Melissa's this incredible environmental entrepreneur. She is a solar enthusiast. She does incredible educational outreach for the sustainability community, as well as being a mom on top of everything else. And then a realtor. I mean, just to add more stuff on top of it. But these are two extraordinary realtors, human beings, and I'm honored that you guys chose to say yes. So thank you.
Sure. Are you doing like city council or something now too, Melissa? I mean, you're doing like everything.
I can't believe everything that Melissa told me she does when we met. It was just incredible. So, well, thank you guys. Let's start this off and let's go big picture and talk about an overview of what NAR sustainability means, where we started this, and where it looks like we're going. Craig, you want to take that one?
Sure. I can give you a big picture overview. It's been really over the last 7 or 8 years that there's been a group of us, a real coalition of members. Melissa and I have been part of that from the very beginning, that have really worked to push this intersection of real estate and sustainability at National Association forward, and to really integrate it into the culture at National Association of Realtors, which is a big piece of this. And I'm really proud of the success that we have had, but also the leadership team at NAR, their willingness to embrace these things that Melissa and I and a bunch of other members have really cared about. One of the things about National Association of Realtors is we're a member-driven organization, right? And that's really important. So you get a coalition of people together, like Keith, what you're doing at EXP right now. You're creating a coalition of members that get that there's something, that there's a there to the sustainability stuff, and we've been doing that for a while. I think one marker for this, I mean, there's been stuff that happened before this, but at the end of August in 2017, the city of Houston was facing its third 500-year rainfall event in 5 years. The flooding was extreme. And at that point, Elizabeth Mendenhall was president for NAR. So I had put together a group of 45 realtors, Melissa being one of them, that had signed a petition that I sent to Elizabeth at the end of August when that flooding was happening. We were waiting for the right extreme weather event to happen. And we asked for 2 things. One was to form a sustainability committee, and the second was a comprehensive sustainability plan for National Association of Realtors. Well, I mean, as you know, Keith, and certainly Melissa knows, NAR is the largest trade organization in the United States, and it's kind of like, moving an aircraft carrier. It moves very, very slowly. So, we were all hoping that maybe 2 or 3 years down the road that this would actually take off. This was the end of August 2017. And our annual convention that year was in Chicago at the beginning of November. And Amanda Stinton, who is our former director of sustainability staffer at NAR, came up to me at the land use meeting, and she said, "I'm about to announce that NAR has created a sustainability advisory group." So in 2 months, the leadership team under President Elizabeth's leadership certainly had really made a pretty big change. At the same time, that same group of people started to think very strategically about how we fit into NAR, what our skills are, and how we can move this kind of culture shift forward. And I give a lot of credit to another individual, a guy named Todd Shipman in Minneapolis, who really helped, kind of create a framework for that. So how do we, as the sustainability subject matter experts, get on the public policy making committees, to the board of directors, to the executive committee? How does sustainability end up in the strat plan? And we started to think collectively about our skills and what we had to offer, where would the good fit be. And over the course of the years since then, now we have an annual sustainability summit, which you referenced, Keith, in Austin. The next one's in Minneapolis, June 4th and 5th. President Vince Malta in 2020 created a sustainability PAG. That PAG asked for a comprehensive sustainability plan by NAR, which was the leadership team accepted that in May. That was a big budget proposal. We were hiring a consultant, Willis Towers Watson, so that was a six-figure budget item as well. But the LT approved that, and by November, we delivered a comprehensive 10-year sustainability plan for National Association of Realtors, which we're seeing the impact of that certainly today. We started to see policies at the policy-making committees start to move forward that are dealing with, a changing climate, extreme weather events, and the impact on the industry. And then, in the 2023 to 2025 strat plan, you'll see an item on climate change and the fact that we need to really take leadership in sustainability practices in the industry and be a recognized leader and resource in our industry on these topics that include resiliency and even mitigation of the climate challenge. So there's a ton that's happened. I'm thrilled that one of the pieces that happened through this culture shift is that through a recommendation of a kind of a change in governance that NAR has been going through the last couple of years, this year they added 12 subject matter experts onto the executive committee, which are the 60 voting members that were dealing with the big picture stuff. There's a lot of that going on, obviously, right now. But one of those 12 positions, 6 of them are permanent, and we've got one of the permanent positions, is a sustainability subject matter expert. And I'm thrilled to be serving in that capacity for the first time out, Keith. So that's kind of the big picture stuff that's going on. Pretty cool.
It's incredible. It's just, and it happened to us that weren't in the middle of it. You guys have been battling in the trenches for so long, but for us, it's like, boom, here it is. So Thank you for that background. I really, I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that it's not just something that's reactive. It's something that has been worked on strategically for years. And thank you guys for doing the work. Melissa, why NAR Green? Why the designation?
For me, it's personal. I care about future generations. I've got 4 kids, and I really care what I'm leaving behind. I always try to leave it better than I found it. So for me, I was interested in the subject. And then I just wanted to differentiate myself. I came into a market where everybody and their uncle knows a realtor, and I needed to pick a specialty, something that set me apart from all of the other competitors out there and just gave me that little competitive edge. I can offer my clients just a little bit more service than those that do not have my background and knowledge.
That's great. And that's one thing that we've been talking about within EXP is that this is a great niche for real estate agents to pick up. I think the numbers show that, roughly around 5% of people have taken the NAR Green designation, but only about a little less than 1% keep it. And 77% of the people from the NAR Sustainability Survey have interest in high performance home features. And they're interested in this, and that we as agents don't hear that they're that interested. So that's a great point for building business. And I think that's one way that we'll be able to help grow the importance of it, is to make sure that it's tied to the business side of it for realtors.
Yeah, and I would also continue too. It gives me the ability to potentially earn more income and earn my clients more money. And I think Craig would agree, you don't ever want to leave money on the table just because you're not knowledgeable about solar. I just went on a realtor tour on Thursday and I was going in the front. Everybody races in the front door. You know, you got to be fast on these things because you're going to see so many houses. But I'm like, oh, wow, look at all that solar. And I started counting. There's 20 solar panels I could just see in the front. And then we go to the back and like everybody's done with the tour. And here's Melissa Camp, you know, coming in the rear. And I step into the backyard and it was a mess, like dogs and stuff. But then I looked up at the roof and there was like another 20 solar panels. And I'm like, why are you not marketing this to that agent? Like you've got 40 solar panels, which is a huge system. That's like way more than average. And she had no information on the usage. I said, is this a net zero house? And she goes, what is that? I was like, well, net zero is when it produces as much power as it uses. And it's very likely that with 40 owned solar panels, not leased, owned solar panels, she's leaving like, I don't know, $40,000, $50,000 on the table because she doesn't know how to use PV value. And, you know, we have a solar addendum here in Arizona, but just things of that nature. I mean, just because she doesn't know what she doesn't know.
Do
I mean,
it.
yeah. Craig,
Yeah, I mean, I
God.
absolutely support that, Melissa, 100%. I mean, we see it all the time in this market. I'm in Massachusetts. We have 150,000 homes with solar PV on the rooftops now. And so many times I see listing agents that aren't filled. You know, we've got great data fields in my MLS as well, right? And they're not filling the fields. They're not doing the work. So one of the things that we're in the midst of, so there's a sustainability advisory group now at National Association of Realtors. And one of the things we're in the midst of, we're communicating with the Pro Standards team, the Pro Standards Committee, which, you know, administers they rewrite the code of ethics every year. And Article 11 is a requirement for competence by real estate agents listing specific types of property and a requirement for knowledge and competence. Just like we have a form that we can use as a listing agent of a high performance home to demand a qualified appraiser. We can't pick an appraiser anymore because of Dodd-Frank and the mortgage meltdown in 2008, but we can demand for our clients a qualified appraiser. And in my state, we've got 10 appraisers that have gone through this very rigorous course set by the Appraisal Institute, and they become valuation of sustainable buildings professionals, appraisers. So I hear all the time, I'm sure you hear this too, Melissa, when I start teaching the green designation, you know, one of the pushback points is, well, appraisers don't recognize this. And in fact, they do. That's BS. I mean, if you're a listing agent that knows how to demand that qualified appraiser, you have control of the transaction at that point. And they will add contributory value for host-owned solar PV using an income approach. So it's not just about the comps anymore. It's different valuation methods. And Melissa's exactly right. She said it perfectly. You know, where listing agents are leaving money on the table for their sellers, which is the most egregious thing we can be doing.
Yeah, violation of your fiduciary responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Craig just mentioned another thing. I think one of the best kept secrets is the Appraisal Institute's Green and Energy Efficient Addendum. So that is the form that we use, whether you're in Boston or Arizona or Colorado. It's recognized throughout the industry. And it basically just makes those items that people would miss visible and valuable. So I don't have x-ray vision. I'm not going up in your attic. But if you have like R50 insulation and you spend a lot of money to do that, that's a way to show that value to the appraiser, because the appraiser is not going up in the attic either. And some of the investments or the assets may not be readily visible, like the beautiful cabinets and countertops.
Right. And EXP's partnered with Elevate, and Pamela Brownstein's, you know, done a lot with us. And she, you know, made a point in our education that we've put out there already that those components need to be highlighted because they are, like you said, you don't see them. And some studies have shown that you can get a 3 to 11% bump on an appraisal by pointing those out. And there is that appraisal addendum that should be a part of every, you know, appraisal for one of these high performance homes. So thank you guys for both pointing that out. It's incredible.
I would say the if and only if, though, so much of this has fallen on the real estate industry. And there's a great woman that's now the president of the Appraisal Institute, Sandra Adamatis, which has really led this fight through the appraisal practices. In fact, she was the principal creator of the NAR Green Addendum, which was originally rolled out in 2009. But remember, it's the listing agent that needs to take the bull by the horns and control the transaction. We're the ones that needs to demand the qualified appraiser. So we have a letter for that. It's been seen by, tons of attorneys, AI's attorneys, NAR's attorneys, National Association of Home Builders attorneys, well-vetted document where we can demand the qualified appraiser. So I'll send that to the mortgage originator for the buyer, and they're like, what's this? And I tell them we're demanding a qualified appraiser. We have 10 of them in Massachusetts. So when an unqualified appraiser calls me after we get the purchase and sale signed, I'm going to say no, just so you know. She's like, whatever, we can't control the appraisal. I say, I know that. Don't worry about it. I'll take control of it. So then I get a call saying, hey, Craig, can you meet me Wednesday at 2? And I say, what's your name again? And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, you can't meet me Wednesday at 2 to appraise the property. And usually I get a WTF response from the appraiser at that point, Keith. And I tell them why, and I send them the letter and say, send it backwards to your AMC and tell them that you have a listing agent that's a real pain in the ass about this, and we're gonna hold people's feet to the fire.
Right.
So you gotta take charge of this stuff, to protect your client's interests.
Right. Yeah. Listing side especially. Yeah. Okay. So NAR Green. It helps you get more business. It's a 16-hour class. And what are the benefits and the tools available once you come out of the NAR Green designation?
You want to do the big picture on that, Melissa?
Well, some of the takeaways, I actually had it before my internet decided to go down, but I have all of these like one sheet papers that when you become a member of the Green Resource Council, that's the group that provides the designation, you would have access to a whole marketing library ready to go, completely customizable. There's videos I just started playing with. There's social media posts. There's a professionally written newsletter that's outstanding. Green designees also have the opportunity to become an Evergreen Award winner. Oh, there we go. Backwards. I got my Evergreen pin. Craig is also Evergreen Award winner. And just a whole bunch of networking opportunities with other agents from across the country. So if I'm going to give a referral to somebody in Colorado and I don't already know an agent, there is a place where I can go and search by zip code. And I would much rather give a referral to an agent who's had the same knowledge and training as I have with that referral, because I know I can trust them. What else did I forget, Craig? I'm forgetting some stuff.
Well, I mean, that was excellent, first of all. And I got a text last night from my vice chair from the land use committee who lives in Wyoming saying, hey, do you know anybody in Biddeford, Maine? I grew up in Maine, it's pretty close. They're looking to rent and then buy a house a year after that, med student. I said, absolutely, I do. Sent it to a green designee, right? So that kind of relationship is really, really critical. But I'd say like big picture of how NAR Green is currently structured, kind of roughly, right? Day one really deals with a lot of the building science piece, HERS rating, energy scoring, HERS rating, DOE home energy scores, different certification types like LEED, Passive House, Energy Star. So kind of the building science piece. And, the evolution that we're seeing, my home is all running on heat pumps now, up here in Massachusetts. So all of my heating and cooling, because of a renovation that we did in an 1895 Victorian over the last 2 years, we're running all on heat pumps, heat pump hot water heater, induction cooktop, right? So talking about these new technologies along with solar PV, right? And the building envelope, different insulation types, how builders are getting to some of these rigorous building codes that are out there, and remodeling homes as well, and the opportunities there. And then day two is, I think, really focused on the business, marketing these homes appropriately, valuing these homes appropriately, doing the work that we were talking about earlier. So the general sense of the content is really exciting, but we've got a lot of work to do, I think, Melissa, as we look at this next rewrite of the green designation, partly because so much has happened. The Inflation Reduction Act, the Green Building Registry. Since we did the last rewrite in 2021, I think we need a real, fundamental relook at this as we start to look at 2024 and what we're going to do.
I agree. There's a lot of information packed into a very short course.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up another idea of lead green associate versus NAR Green. And both of you are lead designees, and Melissa, you're a lead AP. How do these two compare?
I'll take this one if that's all right, Craig.
Yep.
I would say NAR Green, I got that first, and that was really my core knowledge. That was the foundation on which I could feel confident to go and study for the lead GA, because the lead green associate is no joke. You have to know commercial buildings, you have to know residential, you have to know metrics, like very specific information. And then once you get the lead green associate, which is, I say, like a more general, you need to know like all of the lead rating systems, then you can pick a major. So I picked homes. And so after I passed the lead green associate, I had to work on a job site. So I worked with Habitat for Humanity. I went dumpster diving because not everybody on that site realized, hey, we can recycle this and reuse this and take this framing out and go put it in the bathroom. I also learned I hate scaffolding. That was not cool for me. But nevertheless, I have a green hard hat, and you have to actually work on a project to sit for the lead AP exam. And I'll tell you what, it was not easy. It was one of the toughest. I just got a broker's license in Arizona. That was pretty tough too. But I would say the lead AP and GA would probably compare to that because it's just so in depth. But it's really great knowledge to build upon. So if I was starting out, I would start with NAR Green because it's a little bit more basic, and the lead GA and AP are going to be a lot more specific.
Awesome. And GA stands for Green Associate, and AP is Accredited Professional. And the AP exam, which I've never taken, you'll see it behind architects' names a lot, is a lot like taking the bar for architects. It's a very, very rigorous exam. So congratulations, Melissa, on getting that done.
That is incredible. I have a builder friend that did the same process, and very smart guy, and he said it was challenging. So congrats. That's awesome. One of the things I want to move into next is, so I took the class. I audited Craig's class so I could teach the green designation class. What do you guys think, real quick, 2 or 3 things you think that need to be updated in the class coming up for those guys that have already, attained that designation?
Yeah, I think, so first of all, now there's one of the chapters on day 1 is smart home stuff. And now we have a smart home class and designation for NAR. So I think we can get rid of chapters like that and do much more of a deep dive on building science, definitely. And all of the new technologies that are out there, and the myths, particularly in the real estate community, that are not correct about things like heat pumps, right? I'm in Massachusetts, it's pretty cold here. These heat pumps have kept our home absolutely comfortable in the summer and winter, right? There are over 100,000 heat pumps in Maine now of the 650,000 homes in Maine, and they're working absolutely fine. So, for, not so big a deal where Melissa is, but where you and I are, Keith, in colder climates, there's a myth out there that this stuff doesn't work in colder climates, and that's inaccurate. But it also, when we did this renovation, we did a major renovation. We moved the kitchen from one side of the building to the other. We took out 1 bath, we added 2 more. So it was a major remodel of the house. But I wanted to make sure, partly because of the work that I've done with green builders over the last decade and a half, that I wanted to make sure that we had the right building envelope as well to support the heat pumps. So we used a type of insulation called closed cell spray foam, There are some worries about closed cell spray foam, particularly if you have kids or you have asthma in terms of some of the off gassing. That's not something that was with my family. But what I love about it is that it's structural when it hardens, and I'm in an 1895 Victorian, so I love the structural assets of this. And it's the best R value per inch, R7 per inch, right? Mm-hmm. So all of these decisions that we make about our homes, have pluses and minuses. That's something that I think, do a pretty good job of in the green designation, at least giving an overview of what that is. And so families can make the best choices that they can to serve their own purposes. I mean, just like being a real estate agent, right? I mean, we've got to, if my buyer has a worry about something, that worry becomes mine, and I have to help them solve the problem, and so, the evolution of, this new HVAC technology, obviously, there have been so many things that have happened since we did the last rewrite. The evolution of this thing called the Green Building Registry, which is pretty compelling. You can go on Green Building Registry. If you just Google it, you can find it, and look at your area and look at the number of homes that have significant green improvements. I think that will be an eye-opener for many, many people, And my little community in Melrose, Massachusetts, we've got about 6,500 homes. 650 of them have done significant green improvements, high performance improvements on their homes. So 10% of the marketplace, right? And there's addresses that match. I can look on the registry and look at the house across the street here with a host-owned solar PV system on it. Give information that the seller probably doesn't even know about that system, right? But I need that for my MLS because we've got green data fields for solar PV that are required to be filled in now. So, there's sources of information. So one of the other pieces of this that, has been really a game changer since we did the last rewrite in 2021 of the green designation is Pearl certification has really stepped forward. So this is a green building certification that's for existing homes, which I love about this. I mean, LEED, I've sold homes that are LEED certified that are existing homes, but primarily that's a new construction piece. In Massachusetts, Passive House, which is now in our building code, our most rigorous of the building codes, is for new construction, right? So a lot of the green building codes are really focused on that. What I love about Pearl is it's really focused on existing homes. And when you think about the challenges, Keith, that are out there, right? I mean, the estimate is that in 2050, 80% of the homes that will be here are built right now. They're in the ground right now. So the big challenge that we have in front of us in terms of lowering greenhouse gas emissions is in the existing homes. So what I love about Pearl is they're really focused on that. It's a great certification for the homeowner that gets it. It's made green, high performance home improvements, right? But more importantly, their standardization of using the form to demand a qualified appraiser. They fill out the AI Green Addendum, and they give you for the PV, for host-owned PV, a tool that does a net present value calculation, essentially an income approach to that. And they supply it for listing agents at a really reasonable fee. There's no excuse for us now at this point because of Pearl standardizing this stuff to miss these opportunities in the marketplace, which is why I think the Article 11 piece of this, the case that we're making to Pro Standards, I think will go someplace, but keep your fingers crossed on that.
And I love Pearl too. They give you the silent sales pitch. So even if you're not there, you can have something that says, insulate R value insulation 48, and it says it's better than this amount of homes. Like they have the statistics. And they also make sure that you don't miss your MLS fields. Like they've mapped the MLS fields for different states. So sometimes even I will forget to check this box for, let's say variable speed pool pump or something like that. I might miss a field, and Pearl just has a nice clean sheet so I don't miss any of that. It just makes the documentation, which we beat the crap out of in Green Day 1, documentation. We got to back up, the claims that we're making, and Pearl just really streamlines that. And then if anybody wants to play around, I like as a homeowner to use their app. It's called greendoor.app. And it's a way that I can track my maintenance on my house. And I recently got a new air conditioning, HVAC, and I found a contractor that Pearl had already vetted. They did the work. I don't have to worry if these people are not going to show up or whatever. They're quality contractors. And so that just helped me like map out what I'm going to do next and prioritize. The app asked me, are you interested in saving money? Are you interested in, being more comfortable? Like, what are your priorities? And then it does a lot of the work for you. So, and I'm also competitive. So when I make an upgrade, when I got a new tankless water heater, I take a picture of the label and I put it on greendoor.app and I get some more points so I can get to the next level. I think I'm currently at gold, which is not quite the highest level. I believe platinum is the highest level, but if you're competitive, it's fun to play with.
I used Green Door app as well for our renovation as well. So, even before the walls got buttoned up, I could take pictures of the closed cell spray foam before, because that becomes invisible, right? And now I've got a tracking of that, plus all my spec sheets for the mini splits and the heat pump hot water heater, the new appliances that we put in. It captures everything, right? Which, as I think about it as a listing agent, man, I'd love to have that when I'm selling a home. So whoever lists my home, it won't be me. I'd pick somebody else. But we'll have the opportunity to use that. And then we can convey that app to the new home buyer. So they've got a complete record of all of those spec sheets, the windows, they've got the whole thing there. I think there's huge amounts of value there.
Yeah, you want to know about that? I mean,
you guys are just like making my head want to explode. I've got all these notes of stuff to talk about. We're not going to get even close to touching on half of them, but like Melissa, the vendor list, having, vetting vendors, to be able to hand off to your clients to, for sellers wanting to upgrade or buyers wanting to upgrade when they move in, the audits, that we don't. One thing that Craig, you said in your class when I was auditing your class was that all these tools, they don't matter if you don't use any of them. So, all this stuff in Pearl, there's just so many more layers that you can get into. And then 1976 is the average home age in the United States. We have so many holes to plug in existing homes, and that Pearl really helps us be able to do that. So, sorry. Thank you for letting me go off on my little tangent there. One more thing.
No, knowledge is not power. Execution is power, right? Using the tools is the power that's out there. So you've got to, really move, the students, in the classes, professional realtors, to actually use these tools. And to, I think one of the things too, Melissa, this is something I've been playing around with. I taught the green designation for a full brokerage up in Portland, Maine, and their staff. And before the night of Green day two, this thought popped into my head. We needed an accountability checklist for the brokerage. And now I've used it for my team. And so I'm gonna pitch that out to you, what a green accountability checklist will look like. And I think there's tangible things that we can execute on a day-to-day basis. Reach out to 5 past, present, or future customers about the Inflation Reduction Act a week. There are very tangible things that we can execute and do. And I think we need to increase the accountability piece of this for this next green designation.
For those of you guys watching, that right there was worth the time you're spending here. That's an awesome idea. You just saw, Melissa and I were just like, right on that one. So, all right. So to be, safeguarding your guys' time, there's a big topic, that could go on forever that I wanted to kind of wrap up with, and is how we talk about the language in sustainability. We have to reach people that may not believe in climate change. We may have to talk to people that are just resistant to the knowledge of the buzzwords, or it's green, hippie, Birkenstock kind of idea. And I kind of did this when my wife and I built an ADU on our property, and we did all the stuff we wanted without thinking about it. We didn't plan, but we built a net zero ADU we're using as an Airbnb. And what we did, to market it was after I took the class, and thinking about how to use that language to market a property. And when we were talking about all the things we were doing, high performance didn't enter our conversation marketing. Resilient and resiliency did not enter our conversation marketing what we built. How should we be talking about this to connect with our clients, to connect with our spheres of influence, and most importantly to a lot of people is to connect with new clients? Either one of you take that, please.
Sure. So the class will basically say to focus on the benefits. You don't want to be too green building sciencey with the R value and technical terms, because most people don't really know what you're talking about. So to really, like you were saying, stick to the benefits like comfort or safety or control, things of those nature. Even saving money, that's a universal sales pitch. Who doesn't like saving money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so one of the things that you mentioned the pro marketing pieces, that come in little pieces. I tend to blow them up and put them on foam board and put them in the last room, the upper bedroom. That will be the last one everybody sees, right? So if I'm at an open house, or if I'm a buyer agent is showing up with their clients, I can stay down in the kitchen, right, and not hit them over the head with high performance this, green this, sustainability that, right? Let them do the tour. Then they get up to that last room and they start to look at these placards, Melissa, that says this home's in the top 1% of R value of insulation, and compared to most other homes in Massachusetts. This is a new type of HVAC system that's in the top 5% of homes in the state of Massachusetts. Then I find that both the agents and the clients come back down to the kitchen and they're like, so what did this mean? And when the conversation started from them, what did this mean? That's a big, big plus, right? That's when you can get into a deeper conversation because they've asked the question. And I think that's really worked for me, And then there are clues, right? If the buyers show up in a Tesla, you know that they have an awareness of their own environmental footprint. We're certainly seeing that with younger buyers right now, right? One of the things that our brokerage is working on right now, so I work for Lair Realty Partners, and I work with a really phenomenal CEO, this woman, Stacy Alcorn. So she called me last month and she said, Craig, I'm creating a green buyer and seller presentation. So she took the green designation last year, and she gets on something and she gets stuff done. Well, the green buyer presentation is exceptional. And, as we start to think about a changing climate of our value proposition to buyers and buyer agency with the settlement that's happening, right? I mean, everything's changing in the industry right now. Thinking about being the climate savvy buyer's agent, particularly for younger buyers, first-time home buyers that are definitely aware of this stuff, that's a real value add. And then continuing, so this is in our slide deck, continuing to work with them after the time of sale, even if they buy the ungreenest home in the face of the earth, and take advantage of the tax credits passed by the Biden administration, the Inflation Reduction Act, very powerful tax credits that the government is willing to invest in your home, improving your home. There's a real powerful message there post-sale. So we don't even have to be worrying about what's happening at the time of sale, which in Boston and Massachusetts, you're just grabbing any home you can at this point because the inventories are so low, right? But this continued relationship after the time of sale to be the resource, to find the types of contractors that can install these kinds of new HVAC systems, right? Being the resource so that 10 years, 15 years from now, we'll be there and we'll be able to, make sure that equity that they've made in their investments is realized at the time of sale as well. So I think there's a new way that we're going to have to think about communicating to our buyers and providing value. And I think this work from the green designation and taking this niche on, and I think this is more than a niche at this point, this needs to be part of everyday business, is a real exciting way for the right client to be able to say, yeah, I like this dude, let's work with him. And it's better than sending them another Red Sox calendar every year and hoping they remember you 10 years from now when they go to sell.
Yeah, that's one thing that really makes, it needs to be made through a megaphone. The idea that we need to be adding more value due to the litigation, the settlement as buyer's agents to prove our worthiness, and thinking about the first-time buyers and low-income buyers struggling just to be able to get into a house and to be able to say, I'm going to find you a house where your power bill is going to be next to nothing. You're not going to have to worry about these jumps in energy prices because you're going to be on solar. All the different components of that. That's, brilliant. Great. Thank you very much. Melissa, what do you got?
No, I agree with everything that Craig just said. I mean, I work mostly by referral, and it's staying in touch with those clients and staying top of mind and providing value that keeps that relationship, that longevity. I'm going to send them, if I'm going to refer them to someplace, I'm going to make sure that I've already vetted those people and I can trust wherever I'm sending them for whatever service they may need.
Well, this conversation, I'm trying to be very conscious of your time. This conversation has been incredible. We've got some links that Craig and Melissa have given us to share that are going to be below in the comment section. So please, reach out, check that out. I can't believe how accessible the whole NAR leadership has been for us. Leslie came in and did an interview with us, former NAR president, and Craig and Melissa, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We do appreciate it. And thanks for fighting the good fight. You guys are amazing. And have a great rest of your guys' day.